there's a couple other small ones. This is called the Day of Action, and it's to make everybody in the state aware that we feel it's important that we get sexual orientation and gender identity on the Idaho Human Rights Bill. And right now, it's progressed so that Senate Bill 1033 has been introduced by Malipa. How do you say his name? Malpie. All right. And so it has been read and it has gone to printing. And so this is really great. It has not gotten this far anytime it's been introduced yet. And so this is a significant advancement. Now it needs to be explored a little more. Actually, Shirley Ringo would be, Representative Ringo is here. She'll explain a little bit more about the process, how a bill moves through the Senate and the House. And I also want to thank Jennifer. She's been working with me on this all the time. We're actually have another event tonight in Coeur d'Alene that she has set up. And it's a candlelight vigil and a poster-making side reading thing too. I'm really happy that everybody came here. We can write letters to our representatives, but of course they're already our supporters. We can also write letters to, since we have students from the University of Idaho here, you are from all over the state. If you want to write your representatives, do write your representatives. Please write them. But we can all write letters to the editor too, and I have lists of all of the newspapers in the state. You can write short notes to them too. And write some for the daily news. I haven't seen much in there. We need some activity here. And Lewiston, unfortunately, is not having an event today because there's another big issue going on, and that's the make vote, and that's their concern. So,
Shirley, do you want to just tell how a bill becomes just the process? And then Jennifer, I want you to tell about what you found out and our involvement. Go ahead.
Okay, well, my involvement with this legislation hasn't been tremendously great so far. Spoken to Nicole Lefevre, whom many of you know is our one openly gay legislator that we have. And she's very active, very effective, and she has been promoting legislation like this over time. So she has been lining up support for it, and I think that all three of your legislators from Latah County have agreed to be co-sponsors, which is good news. So Dan Schmidt, Tom Trail, me. I noticed that Representative Nesbitt from Lewiston is on the list. I was really quite disappointed when he replaced my good friend Liz Chavez in the legislature this year, but so far he's showing signs of being moderate, which at least is good. So when you're trying to launch a piece of legislation, there are two different approaches that you can take to get going. One, when you get legislation drafted, it's called a routing slip, and that's before it's officially a bill. It's an idea then. And when you have that routing slip, you have basically two choices. You can ask a committee to introduce the legislation, and then it would be something like Senate Bill 1023 by State Affairs, something like that. That's the strongest way to get it going if you can, because then it doesn't just have a person behind it, it has a committee behind it, and there's a little more support for it. It's a little more legitimate way of getting it going. The problem with that, if you have something that's a little more controversial, is that in order to go that route, you have to get the majority of the members on the committee to vote for it, which isn't always easy to do. This bill, since what I see is Senate Bill 1033 by Marubai, I'm assuming that he did not go through the committee to get it going. That makes it a personal bill. Now, you do a personal bill with your own name on it instead of a committee's name on it if you don't think you can get a committee to endorse it. So I'm guessing this appears to be what's happened on this so far. So that makes it a little more difficult. I have 2 bills myself down there that I introduced as personal bills. And I did it because I wanted them to get launched, and I didn't think I could get a committee to do it. So that seems to be where we are here. So that means that in the Senate, it's going to be assigned to a committee, and if they do the same as last year, that would be state affairs. So now the question is, how do we as people get enough power behind it that we can actually get that committee to endorse it and send it out to the Senate floor? So it'll be a challenge. I should tell you that I've already gotten 4 or 5 emails from individuals in this legislative district asking me to oppose that bill.
This bill.
Yeah, this bill. So they're getting active, trying to get their opposition going clearly. If I would give you the names of the individuals, you would recognize, I know you'd recognize 2 of them, and not be surprised. But one thing that I think motivates politicians as much as anything is their fear of not being reelected. And so I think that once we see for sure which committee this bill has been assigned to, and that might be on the web, I don't know, I don't see it here, we need to look around the state and try to make sure that the members of that committee get messages from their legislative district saying, we expect you to support this. You know, it's very important that people shouldn't be discriminated against for any reason. So we need to get some passionate letters written to the legislators on that committee from people in their district. If they get all the districts or all the letters from Latah County, they're going to think, oh yeah, right. It's, you know, those communists up in Moscow are writing me letters again. So they need to hear from people in their own legislative district, and as many as possible. However, I think each person should write his or her own letter, because it's not very effective to have 25 people sign the same letter. You know, we want to make sure that it's coming from the heart, and that you make it clear that you're expecting them to get behind and support civil or human rights and support the rights of everybody, and you know, trying to get some power there. But I think that's pretty much where we are, what we need to do. And we need to get highly organized statewide. So, yes?
I have a question. So, the way the legislation now reads, if who or what you are is not included specifically in that bill, you can be discriminated against, no matter what your difference is from the rest of people. If that bill doesn't specifically name your group or your difference, you can be discriminated against legally.
Well, yes. I mean, what we have the right to be free from discrimination because of race, creed, color, sex, or national origin.
So then people with disabilities can be discriminated against.
If we just
I think
included
there are
species, we probably cover that.
Yeah.
So
I think
what
there
I'm
are-
asking is you have to specify every single instance of lack of discrimination in order for you not to be discriminated against.
If it's not covered someplace else.
And in order for the commission to be able to take legal action
Right.
about that discrimination.
Well, we know that people in these kind of statements that are included are people that are members of target groups
Yeah.
throughout history and whatnot. And so, you know, until we get a big enough non-discrimination statement,
Isn't there a way to be more inclusive so that you don't have specify every single instance, because there can always be, I can think of other things that maybe aren't mentioned, but.
There may be. Our focus today is to try to at least, make a statement about getting sexual orientation and gender identity added. And, there may be some point where we need to, do disabilities, whatever. Because, there are enough of us that go ahead, Joan.
I think, this isn't what I was raising my hand for, but I think disabilities is covered under the American Disability Act.
It is, but it's not mentioned in this,
No.
in a state.
And I don't think they could get away with discriminating against somebody because of that.
I was going to ask Shirley, does it help you and your other representatives from this district to get emails from us? So you can say, I love you, I'm sure you loved it. I got 50 emails saying I should support it, and 2 saying I shouldn't. Does that matter?
Well, sure, and one part of it is just answering the emails that I get. I have gotten, as I said, 4 or 5 that are asking me to oppose this. And, I just wrote back basically and said no. But, if I could write back also and say, well, no, I'm not, and I've gotten 100 emails asking me to support it, that would be good.
Okay, I think that's something we can all do. And the Human Rights Task Force has an email list. And if you want to be added to it, we can keep up to date on which districts the committee represents, so we can get the information to you, and hopefully you would know somebody to help out with those districts. They're also on our table there are cards and things that we are giving away, left over from past campaigns, so help yourself.
And we can pass your list around to the tables.
Okay.
And I think Jennifer had some things to say, and then we can kind of get down to the
Frank, too.
I thought we should also recognize this group. Are you here?
Yeah, well, we are a radical group. We just came here to support organizing the rally for the Mayfair's project. We're here to support.
Great.
And that's the only way we're going to move forward, is that all groups recognize that it's about all of us. Thank you.
Shirley, could you say something in those emails that you're getting urging you to oppose this? What's the argument that you hear?
Well, one is it's unconstitutional, which I find kind of amusing. So let's put that one aside. But that has been mentioned in all of them. And then the other is that it's too big of a burden upon businesses in terms of hiring. Those are the 2 main threads. So obviously, I'm not going to agree with that, but that's what they're...
Yeah, because that's sort of handy to know, So
yeah. They're just trying to grab something to have a reason other than the one that they won't admit.
Shirley, what about the religious objection?
Now that has not, I haven't gotten that particular one, I don't think. Although, 2 of the main players that I've heard from are definitely in the conservative religious communities. I would think that's probably what's really driving them.
Yeah.
That isn't what they're saying.
Right.
And Jennifer has a little bit to say about language, words to use, persuasive.
Yeah, so just to get you going on letters, I guess. We're talking about this in terms of the freedom to be free from discrimination, to be free from bullying in our schools, to have the freedom to work where we want to work, to have the freedom to have housing, to not be evicted from our housing, the freedom to not be fired from jobs for our sexual orientation, and that might be our heterosexual orientation as well. So this bill protects everybody, and it's important when we write our letters to talk about that. So I'm a mom, so I might also put that in my letter. Like, as a mom, if I was writing a letter to the editor, then I would say, I value safe schools for my kids, an environment where they're safe from bullying. And I would talk about it from my angle, because that really relating that to a personal experience is much more powerful than just saying, I support this because I think it's cool, or something along those lines. So really being able to talk about it from an angle that you've personally experienced from friends that you've known that have experienced discrimination in housing or jobs, things like that. I'm not sure. Shirley, can you write a letter to the committee, to committee members?
Well, I think that it would be less effective to write it like a letter here's to the state mayors.
Okay.
I think, you can go online or get a legislative book and you have a list of the committee members and where they're from. And so they individually need to get letters saying that we expect them to support the rights of everybody by voting in favor of this. But the more, as I said, the more letters they can actually get from people in their legislative districts, I think that's what really makes the difference compared to hearing from somebody in another part of the state.
Right. Okay, so I guess that's what we can start with is letters to, I guess, our legislators. If you're a college student and can write from another district, then probably do that. And then letters to our editor, so we can create some buzz here.
And there are sample letters on the table and back there. There's a good letter that's
Are there
Idaho Falls paper. Somebody wrote to the Idaho Falls Register, I believe that's the name, discussing the religious issue. And it came up in Salt Lake, and it helped pass there, giving the church, the one church, the freedom, and all churches the freedom not to be burdened by something that they feel is not within their religious feelings. And so, of course, none of these laws are going to infringe on somebody's freedom of religion. We all know that you have to put that into law too, so that they don't have to.